Howdy folks, back again for another fun flight. Today we're in Windsor Locks, Connecticut at Bradley International Airport. That was our last flight from Rochester, I believe. And today we're going to Nantucket Island. Of the three islands in that section of ocean off of Long Island, we have Block Island, Martha's Vineyard, and Nantucket. I chose Nantucket because it's got the longest runway. Our next flight will probably be back to the mainland down in, say, around Virginia or Pennsylvania, or it's someplace along the coast. It'll be a longer flight. To keep the time down, we'll take something faster like a turboprop or a jet that requires the 6,300 feet of Nantucket Island's main runway. We're going to take this Cessna 310 today. It's old, it's noisy, it's finicky, but it's fast, and it's a nice plane. Before we start any flight, as usual, we want to check the weather. Here's our route of flight. We're here at Windsor Locks, winds light variable at 3, 10 miles visibility, no problem. Nantucket, winds light and variable at 3, 10 miles visibility, again no problems. We will be hitting some weather that's moving up the coast here, it looks like. But once we punch through it, I think we'll be alright. Here's our route of flight up here. Windsor Locks, Hartford VOR, Groton VOR, and then where are we here? Mink Depot, Condon, and then the runway 24 approach fixes. That was our route as established by SimBrief. Windsor Locks has a small SID, standard instrument departure, and Nantucket Island must be a big spot because it's got a star Depot 1. So we'll be using both of those. Now, let's get the control lock off, the yoke out of the way. That up, crack the throttles, check our fuel, get it turned on to left and right main tanks. So let's see what we can do about starting this thing. Let's get the battery on. And let's get the magnetos on. And get the avionics on while we're at it. And get that on. We do have modern instruments. They did upgrade this thing. They took out the carburetors and put in fuel injection. We have the Garmin GTN 750 in here. That's nice. We'll get that loaded up with our flight plan. And we have these G5s here. Fuel pumps on. Prime the right engine. And let's see if she'll start. There we go. And get the RPMs down around 1,000. Don't want to drop them too much below 1,000. Has a nasty habit of stalling out when it's cold. Alright, let's try the other engine. Come on, you can do it. Alright, let's keep them running about 1,000 RPM. There we go. Alright, we put the yoke back on. Lights, let's see here, what do we got? Rotating beacon. Taxi lights we'll put on. Nav lights we'll put on steady. Strobe we'll put on later. This is a noisy old plane, but There we are. Put the headsets on, it quiets right down. And we'll let the engines idle and warm up a bit. Take them, I don't want to get them too slow. They will die. Okay, let's have a look at our flight plan. I've already loaded it in. Runway 33, Hartford, and then the beginning of the Depot 1 approach to runway 24, RNAV approach. So we are ready to go. Let's get ourselves over to runway 33, not too far from here. In fact, let's take a look at the airport. KBDL, we are here. And we want to be here, so let's make a left UE. Brakes off. Throttle up. Let's get on to taxiway Echo to Tango to Lima. Set our altitude and altimeter. That's cars. Once we get to the ILS hold short line. I could do it now while we're taxiing, but it's not good to get distracted while you're taxiing because you can end up driving in the grass. Get ourselves over to the runway and we'll take care of all of our paperwork. Okay, here we are at the hold short line. Engines are warmed up. I don't think we'll have any issues with them stalling out. We don't need this anymore. We know where we are. So let's see here. Altimeter was 2993. Bring that up. All right, we're good to go. Get our autopilot set. Flight director, yaw damper. We'll use nav for starters. Or heading. We'll start out in heading mode as always, and then connect up with the GPS once we get in the air. Give ourselves 10 degrees of flaps here. And let's see, we should be on Bradley Tower. Not that you'll hear much with these engines running. It's just background noise anyway. We don't really have air traffic control here. I do have the 124th ATC app, but we're not using it on this flight. You can't hear anything they say anyway. Okay, we're good to go. Put the pedal to the metal. This promises to be a nice, noisy flight. course, headed for Hartford. Alright. Looks like we're settled down here. Get ourselves on course. There we go. Well, take a look at our weather. Looks like we'll be going through some stuff here. Could get rough, but it's like a short route. Okay, well, looks like we're at our 5,000 feet. We can take our props back to say 2,300. Cut the noise down a little. And about 23 on the manifold pressure. We'll run square. And let's see what we can do about synchronizing the props here. This little fan thing here, your prop sync, it rotates in the direction of the faster moving prop. If we slow down the right prop gradually until that stops or almost does, we'll be pretty close to synchronized. Alright. Well, we're making 188 knots ground speed. That's not bad. Looks like our autopilot's settled in. Let's cut back our see what we can do about let's see our EGT. Get richer peak. That looks like peak there. Now we're lean. We'll go about right there. The rich side of peak. Fuel flow looks pretty good. Get that evened out. Okay. Alright, so all we can do now is sit back and let the GPS take us to Nantucket Island. Not too long of a flight. We're doing, well, we're up to 196 knots ground speed. Winds are light and variable, so we might have a slight tailwind. We'll probably pick up a little turbulence as we approach that weather, too. We're about 5 miles from our first waypoint. Ground speed's up to 200 knots. I'm sure we have a tailwind. Okay, we reached Hartford VOR. Start the next leg. The only thing this GTN 750 doesn't show is weather. It looks like it's an option, but it's grayed out, so I guess they haven't modeled it yet. Let's see here. Terrain is turned on. And traffic is turned on. Looks like we don't have anything in range here. Topography, traffic. traffic and terrain turned on, so we'll get a look at, if we get into high terrain, that'll start showing up. Airways, there's a lot of them in this East Coast. Traffic, there's something there. .310's an old airplane, first one built, I believe, 1961 or 63, maybe even sooner than that. Was replaced by the 340, I believe, sometime in the 80s. There's still a lot of them out there. Reliable, nice airplane, solid platform. Fun to fly if you. As long as you got some modern equipment. I never flew one, but I did get to sit in one, and I knew a guy who had a 310. He let me sit in the right seat and watch. And at the time, it was an older airplane. GPS wasn't installed. This was back in the early 90s. He hadn't yet installed any GPS. He had steam gauges for all of his instruments. And it looked pretty beat up, but it was a nice airplane, flew nice, well cared for. I think this thing's noisy now. Let's take the headsets off. You definitely want to wear headsets in this thing. According to our weather map, it looks like we'll be, once we get to Groton, we'll be going east right through the worst of the weather, and we turn southeast over the water. Looks like it'll be clear out there. Starting to pick up a little turbulence. Probably get worse before it gets better. But hey, we've been through this stuff before. No big deal. Still on 1141 in X-Plane. I don't do the beta testing. Too many variables, and I got enough stuff running in the background here. I don't need any more hassles. So when 1150 is finally released, Vulcan will be available. Although I probably won't use it until they update X Enviro. And I think the Pocket Rocket, Torque Sim Pocket Rocket won't be compatible. X Enviro won't be compatible with Vulcan. And a few other things. I'll wait till the updates are run before I switch off from OpenGL. Okay, we're at the Groton VOR. Turn due east for our next waypoint. And according to the weather map, we'll be going right through the middle of this weather. We'll see how bad it is when we get there. We are on an IFR flight plan. We're instrument rated. We're instrument equipped. We got all kinds of navigational aids here. We won't get lost. And doesn't say anything about thunderstorms, so we won't get thrown to the ground. Here we go. Looks like we're getting into the rain. just like that, we're out of it. I think we'll have clear sailing all the rest of the way from here on. That wasn't so bad now, was it? Well, looks like we have Martha's Vineyard off our left wing. I figure we'll start our descent when we've got Nantucket Airport off our left wingtip. Should give us plenty of time. Make a 1,000 foot per minute descent down to 2,000 feet, which is our initial approach altitude. Here's our Navigraph map showing our position. Coming up to Condon here, I believe. About the time we get here, with the runway or the airport off of our left wingtip, we'll begin our descent down to 2,000 feet. And from here, then we have to take it down to 1,600 feet before we get here. No problem. Okay, we're on the final leg of our trip, just before we get to our first approach waypoint. Nantucket off to the left there. A little hazy, but visible. Can't quite see the airport yet. So I guess we should set up for our approach. Okay, our altimeter at Nantucket 2994, and we want to set our altitude at 2,000. And our runway heading is 241. We'll set that. Shows us approaching Saldy intersection, which is a good place to start our descent. It's not in the flight plan, but it is on the map. It looks like we can just barely make out the airport there. Get right there. So let's begin our descent. I usually go 1,000. Keeps the math easier. (3,000 feet, 1,000 feet per minute, 3 minutes, 3 miles a minute, 9 miles, 10 miles. Let's take the power back some, get a little so slow down here. While we're doing that, we should tune the We'll tune the Nantucket Tower. Again, not that we'll hear it over the engine noise, but you do that anyway. So let's see, we're coming down. This was at 2,000 feet to go. We're doing fine. Ourselves slowed down a bit here. I usually like to land these larger twins at about 100 knots coming in over the fence. Touchdown at around maybe 80, between 80 and 90. Okay, about 2.4 miles from our next waypoint. Run our props up 2,500. Keep them out of the red, but we'll run them forward there. Help slow us down some. And try and synchronize them. There we are. Put our landing lights on. Let them know we're coming. And we've started our turn. We can begin our descent. Once we level off at 1600, we'll activate the approach phase. And we'll let the autopilot take us in. Could do it visually, but when you've got an autopilot, why would you not use it? All right, there we are, 1,600 feet. Keep our speed around 120. About 3 miles to go. Well, the autopilot missed the glide slope. We'll have to take it in ourselves. And we'll just fly it onto the runway. Okay, well, I've had better landings, but I've also had worse. We survived. Get ourselves over to the FBO here. Park. Right about here on this T should be a good place. We're off by a little bit, but we're here. Okay. Well, here we are, Nantucket Island. Kill that. Kill the avionics. We're done with those. Kill the engines. Rather, the props. Okay. And just get everything off here. Yoke on and control lock in place. Alright, here we are, Nantucket Island. Hope you enjoyed the flight. We will be taking off from here and going to, I'm thinking Atlantic City, New Jersey, and we'll take the Eclipse 550 mini jet, little twin engine jet that's kind of like a Cessna 172 with jet engines. It's got about a 600-mile range, but we can cruise along at over 300 knots true. So, I'll see you on the next flight.